Hello everyone, and welcome back to my Come Build With Me series where I take 15 minutes, show you what I've been doing on my build, and hopefully you can also build with me. 15 minutes is just more manageable for me, and for other people too, I'm sure. What we're doing today is the Greenhouse Nectary, which, brief overview, I want a greenhouse with plants growing and plants being displayed, but I also want it to be more functional than just a bar, so I'm making it a nectary where your Sims can come pick fruit and then make nectar from it. And I'm really excited about this build. Last time, I focused on the bar entryway, which was fun. I'd say everything is fun, which turned out how I like it. I like the general furniture that I chose for it. I also chose a front door. I went with a nice double door with the column set, and I picked white. So now for this video, not for the whole thing, but for a good chunk of it, I'm going to be focusing on putting windows in. Now, I'm not an architect. Plant design? Yes. I am very good at that. I enjoy that. Architecture, I have a harder time with. And especially in Sims, I'm not super confident in it. So I tend to build the whole interior of, like, a house or a build first before I place windows and doors, because when I place the windows first, it always gets in the way of what I'm trying to do inside. So I heavily rely on reference photos, and I tend to lay things out the way I want them to be first on the inside, and then do the windows on the outside. I just repeated myself like a ton of times. Anyway, the feel that I want for this build is more elegant, and rounded windows really scream elegance to me. I don't know what it is about the rounded shape. However, I didn't choose a rounded door frame, so of course I am going to have to throw some rectangle or square windows onto this build as well, just to kind of balance it all out. So we'll see. I really shouldn't do like one side elegant and one side like square. It's not elegant, it's one side rounded and one side squared, and the whole thing will be elegant. It'll be beautiful. At least to me. I can't say anything about other people's opinions. My plan for this build is, or I guess for this 15-minute chunk, is to lay out the windows for the whole thing, and then work on the winery room. The nectary room, we're in Sims, the nectary room, and the restrooms, and get that half, that like portion, that area, all laid out the way that I want it to be. Actually, something else that's really funny is I usually don't remember curtains in my builds. It's something that I'll be playing the game for a long time and then I'll realize I didn't put curtains on any of these windows at all. So, I'm actually really proud of myself because for this build, I did choose curtains. And I don't stick with the ones I choose in this video, ultimately, but I do put some on, and it reminds me to do it later, so I'm really proud of myself and impressed that I was able to do that. And the thing is, like, curtains aren't the biggest thing in the world. They're actually a very small part of the build, but they do add character to the build. And I guess what I mean by that is, like, they really do contribute to the vibe and the feel of each room. So I'm proud of myself doing that. Okay, so story time, right? Last time I talked about my study abroad and how I went to France and England and Scotland and how much I love giant plants. I was thinking about what I could talk about going forward, and I don't want to talk about my study abroad every time, but I think for the next 2 or 3 videos, I can focus on each country and my experience there. So, or at least my highlights, right? So, first up in that lineup is France. Paris was amazing. It really is incredible to see landmarks that, like, you've grown up seeing on your TV. Like, I've watched so many movies that are in France, or like videos where the Eiffel Tower is in the background, you know, or you just see it online. And man, taking the metro, stepping out of the building, and then just seeing the Eiffel Tower, like right there in the sky, looming above me, was incredible. It was so cool to see it in like real life. And my study abroad group was so funny because they're all plant nerds like me, right? But we all had this moment of awe where we were just stopped in our tracks, staring at the Eiffel Tower. And then one person was like, guys, we gotta get to the base. So we all just booked it over. And it was so funny being like, oh my gosh, we have to navigate our way there, and it's getting bigger. This is incredible, it's crazy. And we finally got there, and we were like, I can't believe this is real. Honestly, it felt like a dream to me. I was like, there's no way I'm really here. Also, I was sleep deprived. I was jet lagged. Like, we got off the plane, checked into where we were staying, and a group of us was like, want to go to the Eiffel Tower? So we went and figured out the metro, and we just like went. So we're all there, we're like, man, I feel like I'm mostly asleep right now, and this is totally a dream, but like, we're in France! It's so cool! I did get to go a couple times, like that we went and we stopped by the Eiffel Tower. We got to see it at night when it has all its pretty lights and it's sparkly, which was really, really fun. Ugh, it's fun to think back on it too, you know? Oh, and I did get to go to the top and see like all of France, which this is also another fun fact about me. I love heights. Now, I enjoy feeling safe at the top of those heights, but one of my favorite things is to look over the edge. And I know for a lot of people that's like a no. I love being at the edge, looking down, and just comprehending how small I really am in the scope of like the world. It's just a feeling that I really enjoy. Plus, like, you know, the adrenaline. But I really only like it when I know I'm safe. It's like roller coasters. Scientifically, it's like you are totally safe on a roller coaster. They do so many tests, and they shut it down if there's anything wrong with it. Railings, I trust a lot less, so I'm a lot more careful when there's a railing. But I love heights, and I loved being at the top of the Eiffel Tower. It was fantastic. Before I continue, I need to come over to the build and talk about it a little bit more, but I decided to put together the nectary room, right? I want to make sure that there is at least one station to make nectar. 2 would be optimal, and I think I got it so that I could have 2 in there. And then the other half of the room is just kind of wasted space, but it doesn't have to be wasted because I can put stuff in there that makes it feel more like, yeah, this is a winery. So I know that I wanted to have a couple places where like there could be nectar. Well, I forgot what they're called. The place where you age the nectar. That's what I'm talking about, those crates. I knew I wanted to have those because the look of it is just really cool. And then the nectar barrels. And I just kind of pulled a whole bunch of other things from like Debug or like the ranching pack and stuck it all in that room and tried to make it look not necessarily nice, but I did want to make it look cluttered, because it's like the back room where people are making nectar. Like this is the one room that like doesn't need to be elegant. And it's kind of funny because ultimately I decide on this theme of like rustic elegance, which rustic and elegance don't really go together. It's like an oxymoron. However, I think it actually turned out really well in my build. So that's what I'm saying it was. Rustic elegance. It's so funny. How much time do I have here? Oh yeah, I still have plenty. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, France, that I have to tell you, because it's so funny, and people make fun of me all the time for this, but it goes to show how much I appreciate food, honestly. When I had my first eclair, I cried, and I'm not kidding, I had tears running down my cheeks. And we had gone, like, this group of us had gone to this little shop, a boulangerie-pâtisserie, which is a bread and pastry shop, right? And they had all kinds of breads and sandwiches and desserts. So all of us got an eclair, and then we each also got, like, another thing for dinner. And we went and we sat on this, like, offshoot of the Seine, on this, like, river. And I took a bite, and I teared up, and I took another bite, and I started crying, and I was the first person to start eating their eclair, and everyone in my group looked at me, and they were like, Megan, are you okay? And I was like, just eat your eclair. Just see. And, like, nobody else cried the same way I did, but it did bring tears to their eyes. It was so good. Like, there is something to say about natural ingredients being used, because oh my gosh, pastries coming back to the States were such a disappointment after France, and obviously it's been a couple years since then, so I'm okay. When I first got back, I was so disappointed. Man, I was disappointed in chocolate, I was disappointed in soda, I was disappointed in any and every kind of pastry that you could imagine. It was very sad. The last thing I want to say about France, right? We were able to go to lots of different places besides Paris. A huge one was Normandy, and going to the memorial for World War II was really nice. My husband actually got to go as well. Not on my study abroad, but he's been to Normandy to look at World War II memorials because, you know, wars mean a lot to him. Freedom means a lot to him. Not to say it doesn't mean a lot to me. No. Freedom means a lot to him, so he's been there. And it was a different experience for both of us because he was very much about the memorial, and I was very much about the lawnmowers. My entire group took videos of these lawnmowers because in Normandy, for the memorial, they have crosses that represent, I can't remember, like 100 soldiers, I think, who died. It sounds really horrible that I don't remember that right at this minute. However, each cross represents X amount of soldiers, right? And they're all placed in the grass, and their lawnmowers are built so that they have a grass cutting machine that goes around the cross and it doesn't damage the cross. And to us plant nerds, that was like the most amazing invention we had ever seen in our lives. And we all geeked out about it. Back to the build. I put curtains in the Nectary room, and then I'll dress it up with plants and other nice things from debug or accessory later. Right now it's more like I just want what I've decided, like the furniture I've decided in there, and then at the end, or when I feel like it, you know, if I want to spend time just decorating, I can do that. And you know, having 15-minute chunks, it gives me that freedom to be able to do that and feel good doing it and not like I'm wasting time. And now I'm trying to figure out how I want to do the bathroom. I need to have at least more than one toilet, right? Especially if this is going to be an area that like lots of Sims are going to be in. I was thinking I could do stalls, but those actually require so much room, and it's just not plausible for having a small public bathroom. So I'm kind of settling on just making my own kind of 1x2 stalls, and then having like a group sink along the other side of the room just because I feel like that'll be easier, and hopefully it'll still be functional in general. The other trick was finding what stall doors I wanted, just because, you know, you don't want it to look like this super elegant door going into like a toilet. You want it to look more like a stall door. But the thing is, they don't have specific stall doors because they expect you to just use stalls. So I kind of decided to go with like a smaller door, and then I just made a half wall instead of a full wall so that it looks more like a stall door. That's how I did that. I also chose counters, and I wanted to make sure I had, you know, sinks and mirrors. But if you're a plant nerd, I recommend going to France. Also, if you like travel, I'd also recommend going to France. And in my personal experience, I don't speak a lot of French, just a little bit. I speak less now than when I went on the trip because I studied. But in my experience, speaking the little bit of French I did made the people in France like happy and more willing to help me out. Because I'd heard before that people would be rude, you know, and that if you couldn't speak it perfectly, there was no reason to speak it at all. But that wasn't my experience, and maybe that's the experience if you, like, move there. I don't know. My personal experience, being there for 2 weeks, ordering in French, and, like, them realizing, oh, you don't actually speak French. A lot of the people at boulangeries and at patisseries were really excited and happy to teach me new words and how to order. So, that was my experience. I loved going to France. And those were some of my highlights. So, thank you guys for tuning in and watching me build for 15 minutes. I'm excited to see the build all come together. You know, after however many sessions of 15 minutes. Hopefully you are also able to get something done. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!